G'day guys and welcome to the Ohazassu channel. It's John here in Nagoya, Japan, and I'm originally from Sydney, Australia. I've been here for about 13 years and I love talking about my experiences here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you want to learn a new Japanese word, there's actually something at the end of every episode called Word of the Day, where I introduce a Japanese word connected to what I've spoken about during the show. Without any further delay, let's get into today's topic. It's about the unexpected benefits of knowing how to speak Japanese. And I have a couple of very personal stories that I want to share here today to give you a bit of insight into how knowing the language can be of use to you. The first story is a little bit difficult for me to talk about. I had an illness, basically. I went through this illness about 10 years ago in Japan, and it involved about 5 weeks of hospitalization, an operation, and about 6 to 7 months of treatment. And during that time I couldn't work as well. So it was a really difficult time of my life, probably the most difficult time of my life. And during that year, there was a tragedy back home in Australia as well. So that just added to everything. And yeah, like I said, probably the worst or hardest time of my life. Now, as you can probably imagine, knowing the language is a huge help in this particular case. Being in any kind of medical emergency or medical situation, knowing the language is going to help you immensely. I don't know how to stress that enough. Yes, there are places that speak in English, or you might meet the occasional nurse or doctor who speaks in English, but generally speaking, especially in large hospitals and emergency wards, it's a bit of a luxury. You can't expect everyone to understand English. And so knowing the language makes things a lot smoother. It did in my experience. And by the way, this is all, based on my experience. I can't speak for everyone. There might be people out there who do fine without knowing any Japanese. But for me, I also had severe anxiety at the time. And so if I didn't know how to speak Japanese, I would have been a mess. So that was like a massive thing for me. And it's something, and the reason why it's in this episode is because it's totally unexpected. When I first started studying Japanese back in 1992 as a 12-year-old, there's no way I would have guessed that knowing Japanese would help me get through this massive illness, 30 years later or however many years. I'm bad at math, but yeah, totally unexpected, but a massive, massive difference, a massive impact on my life. So if you're, studying Japanese, you just never know. I hope you never have to use it in that situation, but it's something that might come up. And there's probably similar things that happen. Maybe there are situations where it's not like a scary thing, but you still need to go to hospital. So these things happen, and it made life a lot easier. I used to have, I remember, conversations with nurses, and because every time they found out that I could speak Japanese, they would let out this massive sigh of relief and their facial expression would change. They would look happy. And I'd be like, what do you guys do when the patient can't speak Japanese? Because obviously that happens. Tourists have accidents all the time and they end up in hospital. And she said they just end up using gestures or just single words, or they might pull out a dictionary, or maybe these days, there's apps and AI and all that. So, there are ways, but they're not the best ways. They're not smooth and they're not pleasant most of the time. And, you might be thinking, oh, what about interpreters? And yes, interpreters exist. They're a thing. And there are actually even subsidized interpreters for medical emergencies and medical situations. At least that's the case here in Aichi Prefecture. But yeah, they're not available on demand. You can't just click your fingers, and they're not like a genie that just pops up when you need them. So yeah, knowing the language is a huge help in a medical situation. So yes, that's story number one. And yeah, like I said, I mean, was a very difficult time for me. So I'm sorry if I appear awkward on camera when I talk about this story, because it was really, it was pretty full on. Next up, I want to talk about something a bit more positive, and that is my child's education here in Japan. Now, they have something called parent-teacher interviews, and in elementary school you get to, have these, and it's an opportunity for you to ask questions about your child's progress and how they're going, and vice versa. The teacher can also ask you about how things are going. If there are any, something he or she is worried about, they can ask the parent, and the parent can clarify things and shed a bit of light on something. Actually, I think these meetings are a fantastic way to connect with your child's teacher and learn about them and all of that stuff. I just think it's great. So I remember going to the first one of these in elementary school, and I usually go alone because of work commitments and things. And so, during the interview, I didn't really feel it so much. We were talking about stuff in Japanese, and, it was just happening. It was just going along. And I remember going home, I was walking home, and it just hit me in the face. It was like, oh my goodness, like, that was massive. This is huge. Imagine not being able to speak Japanese. How would I have connected with my child's teacher? And that really hit me. It made me very emotional. And I really, to this day, I'm moved by that, and I really appreciate knowing how to speak Japanese. And it's something, again, the reason why it's in this episode, it was totally unexpected. That one really caught me off guard. If you were to have asked me, all the way back when I was a teenager, when I was studying Japanese, I never would have guessed that as to be something that I'd be happy about in the future. And so that was a really, really good one for me. And yeah, I think I'm always going to be happy that I have that, that ability to communicate with my child's teachers. And in the future, who knows? I mean, there's probably going to be more situations like this as my child gets older, and as I get older in Japan. There are going to be more medical situations, hopefully none as scary as that one, but I think the longer you live here, the more you can see the benefits of knowing the language. So if you're studying Japanese and you're just at the beginning, or you're thinking about it, I just want you to know that there are these really nice, beautiful, unexpected things, benefits that can help you in your life if you can speak the language. And I mean, it does go without saying, you're living in a country where most of the population, a huge majority of the population, speaks Japanese. So it should go without saying, but there are, sometimes conversations pop up online about the necessity of knowing Japanese, and some people like to argue that you can get by without Japanese, and of course you can get by, but your quality of life improves dramatically if you can speak the language here, which should be obvious, right? But anyway, yes, if you have any stories, by the way, any unique stories about how knowing Japanese has helped you in your life, unexpected ways, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave something down in the comments. That brings us to the end of the episode. And as I mentioned, that means it's time for Word of the Day. And today's Word of the Day is related to my hospital visit, and the word is chiryō, and that means treatment, as in medical treatment. In my next episode, I'll be talking about car ownership in Japan, or lack of car ownership, which is my particular case. I've been here for 13 years and I haven't owned a car, not once. And I want to talk about that. Why have I decided to do that? Is it good? Is it bad? Do I wish I had a car? Sometimes I do wish I had a car. But I want to talk about that in the next episode. We're going to leave the language topic alone for an episode or two, and we'll revisit it at some later point. Anyway, that's it for now. And if you like the episode and if you want to support my channel, please click on the like button and subscribe to me, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye for now.